jump in here and see a few things here. So a few things we have to cover for day 6. We're going to try creating a list. Okay, we're going to create a list with the same data types or different data types. I don't know how important that is, but let's go ahead and try those out. So as you can see, I switched back to Jupyter Notebooks because in here I think it's easier for us to run and execute it rather than using Visual Studio Code. So it's easier for us to go through the list of these actions that we need to take. But before I jump in, do we have any questions looking at what we need to do? Creating a list, accessing the list, using negative indices, which we talked about, adding values to list, removing values from a list, finding value in a list, determining the length of the list. That probably could have been all the way up there. Minimum and maximum values, again, that's easy for us to do, right? Are there any of those 8 things that stand out to anyone? Looks like everybody should be comfortable with those, right? All right, so let's jump in. Let's start with my list. Or let's just say students. That's the name of the list. And how do we create that? What do we use? Do we use curly braces or square brackets? Any ideas? Everybody's on mute.
If it is a list, we can use a square bracket.
Exactly, square brackets for list. So let's start with Mr. Fabulous. And then we'll carry on with Nigel. And then we can have Anne in there. As well as, oh, there's a problem. I forgot to put quotes around Nigel's name. See, that's what happens now that we're using Visual Studio Code. I'm imagining that it's closing the quotes for me. Right. So we've gotten our students. And maybe we want to put favorite colors in there as well. The favorite colors would be, start with Fabian. This guy definitely likes black. Nigel, I'll go with white for. And let's try blue. Oh my goodness, I don't know, what would Aaron like?
Not a tough one.
Let's give him purple. All right, so we've gotten this with same data types, right?
I would have preferred white today.
Oh, white today. Okay,
That's
we're
just
gonna
for
change
today.
that. Eventually we'll change that. So
It's
let's
Divine
see.
Mercy Sunday, so
That's right, Divine Mercy Sunday. Purple is a royal color, so it's divine too, right? So let's see, favorite number. So let's try to create a list now with different data types. So I'm going to mix up those numbers. Everybody is going to have the same number though. So let's have 7. Oops. And then next one, let's have 7 again. And the next one, let's have 7.0. And another, this guy probably speaks French. Let's give him French word for 7. Right? How it's spelled, I think that's how you spell set in 7, right? In French. Yeah, those are all good. If I execute those, nothing happens. So I just created them, but I might want to find out what type they are. So what's the type of students? And it tells me it's a list. The same for favorite colors. It's also a list. And the same for favorite number. It's also a list. So we've been able to create a list with same data types, different, and so on and so forth. We could also create an empty list. To create an empty list, all we have to do is that. We execute that. It's totally fine. Now we can
Rob,
yes.
I'm sorry. When we are using the type function to check the whatever, for example, we are using for students here.
Yes.
Can we not do like comma separated value or use a type as a list and just add like for it to show instead of doing it on a line at a time? Like if I wanted to see the type student, pop colors, pop numbers, and all of that, you have to copy like that type and paste it multiple times, or you can just do comma separated.
So your question is, if I want to find out the type of this and that?
No, the type students, which is definitely a list.
Yep.
But if you want to see that for the other ones as well, yes, instead of
changing
type, yes, something like that. Can we do that?
Very good question. Since we're here, I cannot really show you that, but we cannot do this because remember what we did in our last class when we created a function? When we created a function, the function either takes 0 or 1 or more attributes or arguments rather. This particular function has its own definition. The definition of this function was that it takes only 1 argument. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So are there other maybe other arguments in there that we can say type, import type as something to use?
In this case, again, this particular program, let me run it so that we can get the error message and you'll probably explain. If I execute that, it says type takes 1 or 3 arguments. So if we want to see the arguments that it takes, let's go ahead and do Python type. Obviously, it would have been better if let's just switch to that, and then I can go ahead and try that out. So let's say type. In here, it shows you the arguments, okay? So the first type is an object name, and then the base, and a dictionary. So the type object is the object's type, the type name base, and is a new type. So in this case, it's probably trying to change it from one type to another. okay, if you're going to put in three different, what should I say, three different arguments. So for every function, you want to make sure you follow its definition. If the function says enter one argument, you should enter one. If you enter more than one, it's going to give you an error message. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Awesome. Excellent question. Now, there are other ways that you can also create a list. One of my favorite ways is using the range function. Let me go ahead and add that in there. It's using the range function. So with the range function, what you can do is say list range. That's what I'm going to call that. I'm going to create a list with, let's say, 10 values. Okay. Then maybe I should print that list. Let's first of all print the type and then print the list. Hold on. So we do that. No way. What am I missing now? I always do that. So to get a list range, let's go ahead and, sorry, we need to go list and get the range in there. Yeah. Okay. So the range again is just a function that's going to give you values from 1 to 10. But when you do list range, it's going to, sorry, from 1 to 9. Then when you do list range, it actually takes that and forms a list out of it. And this should have given me, let me print that. This should have given me the data type of list range. Not, so let's print it. So we printed that. It's always going to print just the last statement or the last function, or should I say the last variable. So list range is of type list, and that's what it has in there. If I want to include 10, all I have to do is change that to 11, and I should have all of those. So that's how you can use the range to create values on the fly. Does that sound good to everyone? Questions, comments, concerns?
If you were to print the range for the months, would you just say January to December in place of 1 and 11?
Oh, very good. So now it would depend on that range function. That range function only takes in integers. So let's switch back again. Okay. Yeah, because of that, that might be the challenge. But also there are many ways that you can come up with those to automate that. And yeah, very good question. Yeah. But yeah, that's how you use the list range. Now to access items in the list, as you've seen, I've been able to just output the items. You can also use print to print the list. It's still going to give you the same thing. So let me comment this out. That's probably not the best way to display your list. The best way would be for us to use our, something that we used earlier, right? The loops, to be able to iterate through. So if we have to use a loop, what we need to do is just use a quick way would be for item in list range, right? So for each item within that list range, it's going to go through each one of the items. We can go ahead and just print the item. That's it. So that's going to go through, execute, and print each one, just like that. Sounds good? Question? No questions? Yes, Aaron, go for it.
So in the real world out there, I'm guessing that there might be limited reasons why we should be creating lists, but we'll probably want to pull that from somewhere and then use the various functions that we're letting you to manipulate. Is that correct?
Yes, you'll probably not be creating lists, but you know, something you might want to do is maybe if you have some automation to do, maybe you want to keep track of some things, you might just want, hey, I just need a list of 10 things and then assign it. And then maybe take that list, turn it into a tuple, or use that list in what do you call it, in a dictionary and so on to be able to have those values. And yeah, but again, having all this understanding is going to help you one way or another if you have to use some kind of automation. Sounds good?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Let's go ahead.
If we wanted to print item 8.
Oh, very good. If we wanted to print item 8, so all we have to do is item 8 is currently at position number 9. So to print item 8, I'll have to do what's the name list range. Oopsie, 9.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and just make it look nice and say print item at position. Oops, let me not say position. Let's say index. Index. I think, yeah, I want to give it a variable. Let's say an index. Call that 9. So item at index, my index. Yes. I'm gonna put a comma. That makes sense?
Yes, it does.
And then I go ahead and close my print statement. So if I print that, if I execute that, item at index 9 is 10. Oops, that's because it's 0 base. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I should change that to 7. Execute it, you should have 8. Or you can ask the user to enter a value. Oh, cannot spell. Enter position. Again, everybody's familiar with this so far. And go ahead and say my index should now be integer of that plus 1. If you say enter position 1, it should give you position 0, so minus 1. So execute that. Enter position 1. That one place to type. Oh, position 11. That's wrong. So position 11, it counts all the way and starts again. So enter position 2. Oopsie. I think that's twice. Position 2 is 4. Why is it giving me that error? And I have it inside the loop, so it's going to keep running until I stop it. It should not have been in the loop. So my index is blah, 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 blah. Let's execute that. Enter position 3. The index at 3 is 3. Or the item at index 2 is 3. So that's just how you go about, printing out that particular index. But let's go ahead and try something else here. I need to comment all of these out or just delete those. Put it in another cell, which I'm not going to use for now. So next thing we wanted to talk about was maybe looking at this list range. I want to make it bigger, right? So instead of having how many records, I need to find out what's the length or what's the size of that list. To get the size of the list, we use the length function. Okay. So print again. I should probably go ahead and make this somewhere. So the size of the list, we use the length function to be able to give you that. So execute this. The size of the list is 10. If we use that for February numbers, the size of the February numbers is 4, and so on and so forth. So that's how you go about determining the length. Oopsie, I keep forgetting that if I double click, it's going to show me the code. That's how you go about getting the length of a list. To get a minimum and maximum, it's just the same thing. Okay, so minimum and maximum, the maximum of the list, you just go ahead and use max. You can also use that to get a minimum of the list. See, a bunch of functions. Again, these are built-in functions with Python, so it's easier for you to do that. Your February number, what do you think the value would be? 7.0 and S or 7 or set. So let's execute that. Not supported between instances of string and int. So I definitely should use list range because you cannot find a maximum value between a number and a string. So if I execute that, maximum of the list is 10, minimum is 1. If we want to make, in some cases, guys that usually create data, on the fly, fake data or just, random data, you can always go ahead and now that you have a list range with a size of 10, if you use, say, double list, you can go ahead and add the list to itself. This range plus this range. That should end up giving us a bigger list. So let's go ahead and print that new list, which will be print double list. Once it's done, now we have a list of 20 items. Sounds good? Questions, concerns, comments? And one last one, which is gonna probably make your life a lot easier. If you're asked to come up with, hey, create a list of 200 values, you probably don't want to go in and typing them each one at a time, right? So a list, again, it does not have to be unique. If you want a list of 200 values, the easiest way to do that, after I've gotten my double list, all I have to do is, let's say more list is the name of the list, should be equal to double list times 10. What it's going to do is going to create this list 10 times the size, rather than multiplying it. So if I do that, and I print it as well, now we have a really long list. Sounds good? But all of these lists have a lot of duplicates in there. If we want to make it a set, it's very easy. Let's say we want only the unique values. All I have to do is print set of more list. Now you're going to have unique values again, right here, and you see the set has curly braces.
This Python is a monster. Oh my God.
So you can manipulate as much as you want. If somebody tells you there's actually a guy that's going to jail that helped out the cryptocurrency guy to create fake data to pretend that he has people in his company. But it's just easy stuff like this. You know, you just go out there and pull out. There are lots of data sets out there, very free and easy to use. Go and pull all the first names, all the common last names, and make permutations and just randomly select them from a list and create fake addresses, fake stuff, and populated it into, I don't do cryptocurrency. So that's what he used to create fake customers for the guy's company. And then eventually they started going to using machine learning to make some algorithms in there. I think the guy got paid, I can't remember, $19,000 or $20-something thousand to create that. And it probably took him a few minutes or probably a couple hours to go ahead and create that fake data to populate their website to make it look like they have so many people. Yeah, but don't do that. You want to be an ethical hacker. So yeah, we've looked at those. We've seen all of those, how we can access it. We can use the index as well to access the list items. We haven't used negative indices, but if I wanted to see the index of, let's say the list range had 10 records. So if I wanted to see, let me go ahead and get all of this out again. Put it somewhere out here since I don't need it. Let's say print list range. And this time I want the last item. -1 is going to give me the last item. The last item should be 10, right? So if I execute that, it prints 10. That's the last item. I should have my list range in here. If I wanted the second to the last item, I would use -2. I execute that. The second to the last item is 9. Oh, that's a quick way to get those using negative indexes. So adding values to list. If I want to add a value to the list, there are many ways you can add values to list. So for instance, if I want to find out all the different functions that you can use for a list, there are a lot of them. The list range, I can use that and say dir, one of those built-in functions that you can use as well, and do list range. If I do dir list range and execute that, these are all the different functions that I can use in the list. I can append, I can clear, I can copy, I can count, I can extend, I can find the index, I can insert, I can pop, I can remove, I can reverse, and sort.